season in Miami. She defeated world number 2, Iga Swiatek, to reach her first WTA 1000 semifinal.
Shock ruling, WTA suspends Valentova. Disgusting remarks on Eala crossed the line, the full explosive story. Welcome back to Court Vision Media, the one channel on YouTube that doesn't just report the news, we live inside it. We breathe it. We dissect it bone by bone until there is nothing left but the raw, unfiltered truth. And today, Court Visionaries, the truth is absolutely scorching. I don't use that word lightly. I don't say scorching when I mean mildly interesting. No. Today, we have a story so hot that it is singeing the edges of the entire women's tennis world, and by the time we are done here, you are going to be shaking your head in disbelief. So make sure you like this video right now and subscribe to Court Vision Media so you never miss moments like this, then run straight to the comment section to tell me exactly what you think. So lock in. Put the phone down, sit back, hit that full screen button, and if you haven't already, tap that like button and subscribe with notifications on, because this one goes deep. Here's the big picture before we zoom in. The 2026 Qatar Total Energies Open in Doha was supposed to be another glamorous stop on the WTA calendar. Sun-drenched courts, world-class tennis, and the kind of drama you can only find at a major international tournament. And oh, the drama delivered, but not in the way anybody expected. Because right now, the conversation is not about who won the tournament. Right now, the conversation is about a suspension. An official, verified, tour-sanctioned suspension of one of the most exciting young players on the circuit, Czech teenager Tereza Valentova, following a series of offensive remarks directed at none other than the pride of the Philippines herself, Alexandra Eala. The Women's Tennis Association has spoken. And they did not whisper. Let's break this down from the very beginning, because context is everything. You cannot understand the explosion without understanding what lit the fuse. The stage was the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex in Doha, Qatar, a gorgeous, state-of-the-art facility that has hosted some of the most memorable moments in recent tennis history. Walking through those gates, you get a sense of something grand, something important. The Qatar Total Energies Open has grown into one of the most prestigious early season stops for the women's tour. Players come here hungry, motivated, and sharply tuned after the Australian Open swing. The points are important. The prize money is important. And, critically, the momentum you build here can define your entire spring season. Into this cauldron step two of the most exciting young players in the game. On one side of the net, Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino sensation who has been doing something remarkable in a sport that has historically not seen many Southeast Asian players penetrate the very highest level. Eala wasn't just showing up in Doha. She was arriving. There is a difference. She came in carrying a career-high ranking sitting comfortably inside the top 40, a number that still makes the Filipino sports community erupt in joy every time they say it out loud. Top 40 in the world. In the world. She was arriving with form, with confidence, and with the backing of an entire nation of fans who have been tracking her rise the way a parent tracks a child's first steps, with breathless, tearful, overwhelming pride. On the other side of the net, Tereza Valentova. 18 years old. Czech. Ferocious. A ball striker who hits the cover off the tennis ball with the kind of controlled aggression that makes coaches drool. Valentova has been rocketing up the rankings, announcing herself to the world as a genuine force of the future. She serves bombs. Her forehand is a weapon. She has ice in her veins and fire in her game. The tennis world was watching her with great anticipation because every now and then, a player comes along who just looks different, who hits the ball and something inside you says, oh, she's the real thing. Valentova is that player. So the matchup on paper? Delicious. Two rising stars. Two young women with everything to prove. A first-round clash that felt like a preview of a rivalry that could define a generation of women's tennis. The Filipino star against the Czech prodigy. The graceful counterpuncher against the aggressive ball striker. Style versus power. Heart versus heat. This was the kind of match you circle on the calendar and make sure your schedule is clear for. And for the first hour, the match delivered on every single promise. The first set was a battlefield of the highest order. Every game was contested. Every point was a story. Eala showed exactly why she belongs in that top 40 conversation. Her footwork was exceptional, her return of serve was picking up pace and length brilliantly, and her ability to redirect the ball and construct points from defensive positions had the crowd buzzing. Valentova, meanwhile, was doing what Valentova does. Serving big. Hitting big. Trying to take the racket out of Eala's hand with sheer weight of shot. The set went to a tiebreak. Of course it did. These two were too good, too determined, too competitive for either of them to simply hand the other a gift. In the tiebreak, Valentova edged it out, 8-6, claiming the first set 7-6. It was a close call. It could have gone either way. But it went to the Czech teenager, and in that moment, you could feel a shift, a subtle, dangerous shift, in the energy on court. The second set was a different story. Valentova found another gear, or perhaps Eala, feeling the fatigue of that brutal first set in the Qatar heat, couldn't quite sustain the intensity. The Czech player took control, powered through the set, and won it 6-1. Match over. Valentova advances. Eala exits in the first round. On paper, that's where the story ends. Scoreboard says what it says. You pack your bags. You review the tape. You get ready for the next tournament. That is the professional life of an athlete. Losses are fuel. Losses are lessons. Every champion has a story full of them. But somebody forgot to tell Teresa Valentova that the match was supposed to end when the last ball dropped. Because what allegedly happened in the immediate aftermath of that match, in the handshake moment, in the press conference area, in the exchanges that followed, is what has lit the internet on fire and brought the full weight of the WTA down on the young Czech star's shoulders. According to multiple reports and sources circulating from Doha, the remarks made by Valentova were not the kind of competitive banter that you occasionally see between athletes on a heated tour. This wasn't trash talk. This was not psychological gamesmanship, the kind of thing that players sometimes deploy to get inside an opponent's head. What Valentova allegedly said crossed into territory that the WTA considers a direct violation of its code of conduct. The remarks were described as offensive, derogatory, and personal in nature. While the specific words have been deliberately kept out of most reports to avoid amplifying the negativity, the tone and nature of the comments have been described by those present as shocking, even by the standards of a tour where competitive fire burns hot. The WTA Tour organizers in Qatar moved swiftly. There was no weeks-long investigation. There was no slow bureaucratic process. When an incident of this nature is sufficiently clear-cut and sufficiently witnessed, the machinery moves fast. They reviewed what happened. They consulted the relevant parties. And then they did something that immediately separated this incident from a routine fine and move on situation. They issued a suspension. Let that word sit there for a second. Suspension. In professional tennis, a suspension is nuclear. A fine is a parking ticket. A suspension is a court order. It means you don't play. It means you lose ranking points for events you miss. It means sponsors start making phone calls and asking uncomfortable questions. It means your team sits in a hotel room somewhere trying to figure out how to manage the PR fallout while you sit and stew over how you got here. The WTA, an organization that has generally preferred dialogue and financial penalties over outright bans, took one look at this situation and decided that the punishment needed to send a message louder than any dollar figure could. The official statement from the tournament and WTA officials was precise and pointed. Behavior that attacks the dignity of a fellow competitor and violates the tour's conduct standards will not be tolerated. Period. Full stop. End of sentence. Now, the reaction to this news has been, to use the most accurate possible description, absolutely volcanic. Start with social media. Within hours of the news breaking, the hashtag Respect for Eala was trending across platforms. Filipino fans mobilized instantly. Thousands upon thousands of posts, tweets, videos, and comment threads flooded the internet, expressing solidarity with Eala, outrage at the behavior, and support for the WTA's decision to act. This wasn't a niche tennis crowd. This spilled into mainstream social media, with figures outside the sport weighing in, from Filipino celebrities to politicians to everyday fans who follow Eala's career the way people follow their favorite team. The tennis community itself reacted with a mixture of shock, sadness, and grim recognition. Because the ugly truth is this: discrimination and disrespect in professional sport is not a new story. It has just never been cool to admit it out loud. But here's what is different now. The WTA acted. That matters enormously. The WTA saying, loudly and publicly, this is not acceptable and here is the consequence is not a small thing. It is a statement about who women's tennis is for and who it wants to represent. And in that context, this suspension becomes bigger than one incident between two players in Doha. Now let's talk about Alexandra Eala for a moment, because she deserves that conversation separately from all the noise and controversy surrounding this incident. While the storm rages around her, she has, by all accounts, handled this with the same quiet dignity and composure that has characterized everything she has done in her career. Eala's story is one of those rare, genuinely inspiring ones in sport. She did not come from one of the traditional tennis powerhouses. The Philippines is not Spain or the Czech Republic or the United States. And yet, she carved her path. Her junior career was a revelation. She became the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam junior singles title. The Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, Spain, saw something special in her early and invested accordingly. And that investment has been paying dividends ever since. Her transition to the professional tour has not been without turbulence. But Eala has navigated that transition with a poise that belies her years. She is thoughtful. She is articulate. She is, by every account, genuinely kind. And for a player like that, for someone who has already had to work twice as hard to get half the recognition, to then be subjected to offensive remarks from a peer is a gut punch that resonates far beyond the tennis court. Now, what about Valentova? She is 18 years old. That does not excuse what she allegedly said. Nothing excuses it. But it does provide context. The pressure of a meteoric rise. The emotional intensity of competition. The immaturity that can surface in the worst possible moment. But here is the reality: in the age of social media, moments of ugliness have permanent consequences. And so the consequences for Valentova, while painful and significant, are also a crash course in the reality of the world she has chosen to compete in. The question that will define the next chapter of her career is this: what does she do with this moment? Does she retreat into defensiveness? Or does she grow? Because talent can take you to the top. Character is what keeps you there. The broader state of women's tennis in 2026 makes this even more significant. The tour has never been more diverse, more globally represented, or more exciting. Players from Asia, Africa, and Latin America are rising. That diversity is the WTA's greatest asset. And protecting it matters. So where does the 2026 Qatar Total Energies Open go from here? The tournament continues. The other matches go on. But this moment will follow both players. When Valentova returns, every press conference will carry the ghost of this story. When Eala steps back onto court, she will carry not just her racket, but the support of millions. And when these two meet again, because they will, it will not just be a match. It will be a reckoning. Court Vision Media will be there with the full breakdown, the full analysis, and the full behind-the-scenes perspective. But we need you with us. So if you're still watching and you haven't done it yet, smash that like button and make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. This is a developing story and we will bring you every update as it breaks: the length of the suspension, any potential appeal, the WTA's full official statement, and Eala's response. Court Vision Media is not going anywhere. Now, Court Visionaries, I want to know what you think. Did the WTA make the right call? Was the suspension justified? What does Eala do next? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Like this video if you stand for respect in sport. Share it with your friends. And if you believe in deep, passionate tennis coverage that goes beyond the surface, subscribe to Court Vision Media and turn on that bell. This is Court Vision Media, signing off from one of the most explosive days in the 2026 WTA calendar. The desert sun may have set over Doha, but this story is burning hotter than ever. Stay sharp. Stay passionate. And always, always, keep your eye on the ball.